Good morning. Welcome to our virtual service. My name is James Parker. It's such a pleasure to be here with you today. Well, let's get started. My lesson today is realize your dreams through forgiveness. Friends, all who are interested in progressing spiritually and socially must address certain aspects of their past that are out of accord with their divine nature. In other words, we all carry misunderstandings, misconceptions, and error thoughts, often based in wounding from childhood and throughout our life cycle that conflict with a life that is in accord with our highest purpose. Becoming aware of these misconceptions and negative emotions, as well as how they influence our thoughts and feelings, is essential and necessary to our true spiritual growth. Some common misconceptions that we almost always fall into that you may find yourself repeating are: forgiving an offense means that I condone the offense, or forgiveness means that I must reconcile with someone who has treated me badly, or forgiveness depends on whether or not the abuser or lying person apologizes, wants me back, or changes his or her ways. Yet honestly, forgiveness is the experience of finding peace inside and can neither be compelled nor stopped by another. It is something you must practice constantly and find within yourself. Then the magic happens. It doesn't mean that we forget what has happened to us. Of course, you're going to remember your wounds, but don't dwell on them or craft your life story in such a way that the wounds play a central role. Honestly, painful events can be life-enhancing experiences when we grieve, let go, and learn from them. Mahatma Gandhi said, "The weak can never forgive. Forgiveness is the attribute of the strong." Friends, to forgive ourselves and others is not just saying the words, "I am sorry," or "I forgive myself," or "I have forgiven you." It has to be an emotional change that happens in us and our relationships. When we think about it, unforgiveness is a quality which always succeeds in an event of pain, hurt, or injury, where our ego does not permit us to heal or grow emotionally. However, through forgiving ourselves and others genuinely, we do heal. We lessen our baggage, realize our dreams, and attract to ourselves greater opportunities for love, growth, and expansion. Also, we find that it not only takes away the hurt and the pain caused by ourselves and others, but it extinguishes the past injury, washing away the negativity within us, which would otherwise eat into our vitals and affect our thinking process. In my research this week, I came across a wonderful statement regarding forgiveness, and it had nothing to do with continuing to tolerate abuse or evil in our lives. It said, "When you don't approve of me or speak to me in a way that is disrespectful, I will act with integrity. I will not react in a way that will cause me to stress or have regrets. This too shall pass. Through forgiveness of any situation or circumstance, I always win." For example, I was once disrespected while presiding over a board meeting. A board member disagreed with my plans to fix a situation, making disrespectful faces and gestures and causing extreme discomfort for the rest of the board. Not wanting to cause any more disruption than necessary by engaging with the person at that time, I reiterated my plan and moved on, rather than defending myself. After the meeting, I began second-guessing my decision to not say anything, thinking I must have handled the situation badly. As I wondered if I deserved to be a leader at all, another board member approached me and said, "That person may have taken condescension to a whole new low, but you took integrity to a new high." His comment showed me that people recognize who was behaving badly and who wasn't, and let me know that the board was grateful that I handled it gracefully and moved on. That remark has stayed with me, helping me remember that it is not necessary to defend myself from every criticism or comment made, either in public or in private. Let's face it, Through their own wounds and faulty wiring, sometimes people are going to be rude, condescending, impolite, rigid, or expect that you should follow their way of thinking. Sometimes you will disagree with others and you may feel disrespected. But if you keep your composure and assertively state your position, if you act with integrity and not react in a way that will cause you to have regrets, the power of forgiveness will cause the matter to pass, and you will have an inner sense of triumph. In the book of Luke, chapter 23, verse 34, Jesus said, "Forgive them, for they know not what they are doing." Someone once said to me, "I suffer when I fear losing someone's respect or friendship, when I think someone is trying to harm me, when I judge that things should be different than they are." Strangely, many people feel this way. Henry Nguyen, in Life of the Beloved, explains these reactions. He says, "The painful things people do and say causes us to suffer when we experience them as confirmation of our negative feelings about ourselves." This is a big one for me. As humans, we tend to be most hurt when another's judgment of us matches our own, usually deeply buried judgment of ourselves. Makes me wonder, if what really upsets us the most is not being opposed, but being exposed. A preacher in his Sunday sermon used "forgive your enemies" as his subject. After a long sermon, he asked how many people were willing to forgive their enemies. About half held up their hands. Not satisfied, he harangued for about another 20 minutes and repeated his question. This time he received a response of about 80%. Still unsatisfied, he lectured for another 15 minutes and repeated his question. With thoughts now on Sunday dinner, all responded except one elderly lady in the rear. "Mrs. Jones, are you not willing to forgive your enemies?" "I don't have any." "Mrs. Jones, that is very unusual. How old are you?" 93. "Mrs. Jones, please come down in front and tell the congregation how a person can live to be 93 and not have an enemy in the world." The little sweetheart of a lady tottered down the aisle, very slowly turned around and said, "It's easy. I just outlived those sons of a gun." I guess that works too. Friends, we human beings need to find meaning beneath our difficulties. Instead of making the painful things that happen to us mean that life is hard, or people are bad, or we are unworthy, would it be possible to wonder, what opening has this loss created? What will fill it? What good is it in its own way? T.D. Jakes said, "I think the first step is to understand that forgiveness does not exonerate the perpetrator. Forgiveness liberates the victim. It's a gift you give yourself." The other day, I saw a teenage boy wearing a bright red t-shirt with bold white letters that said, "I have no idea what is going on." This banner is so true. The minute we go beyond the simple recounting of the visible facts of a situation, we are into story and analysis. What would it be like to live more simply? Could we simply feel our feelings? We could simply say what we like or don't like, prefer or don't prefer, without shrouding everything in confusing drama. We could learn to watch our own reactions and become curious about them, instead of making up stories about ourselves or others, or God for that matter. Consider for a moment how often we say, "Why did he or she do that to me?" Or "Why did God let that happen?" There is no answer to these questions. All they do is throw us into obsession and suffering. We make plans, set conditions, harp over certain circumstances, and continuously make up stories of how things should be in our heads. We think our stories and plans will shield us from pain, but all they do is prolong it. Why not let go? Why not release yourself from the need to control people, places, and things and just live in the moment? True forgiveness is when you cease binding yourself to emotions associated with your expectations of something, someone, or yourself. No, friends, things don't always go according to our plans. People don't always take care of us the way we think they should. And we don't always react very well when they don't, do we? We say and do things we don't feel good about. Are we the ones most in need of forgiveness for our lack of compassion, for judging situations and people evil or wrong to begin with? Are we the ones most in need of forgiveness for having expectations of others, even though it wasn't ever their job to fulfill? Are we the ones most in need of forgiveness for not accepting and loving ourselves and others, for demanding our way all the time, for clouding our eyes with resentment and anger so that we cannot see the beauty and abundance right in front of us? And as the t-shirt says, we don't really know what is going on at all, because God's plan for us is far greater than we can ever imagine. If we could only trust that, perhaps we would not suffer so much. Perhaps we would really be here in the present moment, free of contamination from the past. Perhaps we would feel more joy and peace. Perhaps we could begin to open ourselves up to greater opportunities of growth and expansion. Perhaps we could finally realize our dreams. Friends, you may have wounds that are so profound, that happen so early in life, or when you were vulnerable, or wounds where someone you love was injured, that practically speaking, you feel like you will never be able to fully forgive. The hurt appears to be too much a part of who you are. However, through forgiveness, you can be free. You can prosper abundantly. You can love again. You can realize your dreams and succeed in life. Lewis Schmeedy said, "To forgive is to set a prisoner free and discover that the prisoner was you." Friends, the way of the Spirit is to embrace life, all of it. Yes, we need to protect ourselves, but we must also use our power to transform what is destructive in life. Forgiveness of others and self is an act of transformation and a high spiritual path. It is a voluntary action. It is something we choose to do when we are ready to move on, or when the love in our heart speaks louder than the temporary hate. It is about letting go of the past and going forward. It's about taking care of your own mental health and setting yourself free. It's a gift that we give to ourselves as we embrace our willingness to release resentments and free our heart. There's an old saying that goes, without forgiveness, the life of the Spirit is handicapped. But if we are active on the path to forgiveness, we are making progress and are well on our way. When we allow forgiveness to dissolve our negative feelings, we demonstrate our belief in God's unconditional love. And our actions bring us into alignment with the truth of our spiritual nature. Our territories expand. Our prosperity increases. We abundantly rejoice in greater joy, freedom, and opportunity. Friends, begin today. Forgive everything, everyone, and yourself. And then realize your dreams and a new life of hidden treasures you never could have imagined. Are you willing to do this with me today? Well, thank you all, and God bless you.